Good evening. Secretary for Development Paul Chan admitted today the government has failed to secure enough land so far to meet the long-term housing target of 470,000 flats. There is now a discrepancy of up to 70,000 units. Joel De Silva has our top story.
The Long-Term Housing Strategy Steering Committee earlier unveiled a target of 470,000 units in 10 years, 60% of which would be public housing. The government has yet to adopt the recommendations, but the development chief admitted that, as of now, it does not have enough land.
Well, in terms of land supply, we have basically secured all the land necessary for implementing the targets as announced in the policy address. But as you know, the figure indicated in the consultation paper is much higher than those indicated in the policy address. The difference is about 60,000 to 70,000 units.
Chan said a number of sites that could be considered for rezoning for development into housing areas have already been identified. But he said the bigger challenge will be to get approval for these plans at the district level. Reacting to Chan's comments this afternoon, Secretary for Transport and Housing Anthony Cheung concurred that if the government is to adopt that target, it will need to gather support from the wider community.
Now, this is, of course, a very big challenge to the government and also to the community, because at the end of the day, the government has to secure community support in order to develop new land and also to fully make the best use of existing land.
Some of the sites that could be rezoned for housing include land under short-term tenancies and greenbelt areas. So-called greenbelt areas are intended to protect sites of ecological value, including Hong Kong's much-cherished country parks, which Secretary for Development Paul Chan earlier suggested could be used to build new flats. Needless to say, the suggestion itself resulted in public outcry. Joel De Silva, TVB News.
Well, green groups and residents think the government should compensate villagers if it moves them out to protect country parks. But as Vicky Kong reports, trying to find a balance between protecting the rights of villagers and preserving Hong Kong's green heritage is proving difficult.
A forum in Sai Kung debated ways to conserve Hong Kong's country parks while protecting the rights of indigenous villagers.
The real problem is that, again, government is trying to do this on the cheap, conservation on the cheap. They refuse to compensate the villagers and they refuse to protect the country parks. Therefore, both sides will lose.
Participants agreed that villagers should be compensated if they're forced to move as part of efforts to preserve country parks. But environmental groups pointed out that some inhabitants have abused their ding rights, which gives adult male villagers the right to own small houses on government land.
The government has to come clean and stop illegal practices for villagers to use their ding rights and sell the ding rights to developers.
Concerned groups accused some developers of buying up and destroying unsown enclaves next to country parks to build luxurious villas. Some people think the Lands Department should bear the biggest responsibility for this.
Whenever people complain to the government about some illegal development, most of the time, police will come first. And the Lands Department will come in another 2 days or never show up.
Green activists also criticized the town planning board for approving land use changes that allow developers to build houses in Hoi Ha. Vicky Kong, TVB News.
There are now calls to invoke special LegCo powers to look into the controversy involving free-to-air TV. A government decision to deny businessman Ricky Wong's TV venture a license continued to spark controversy. Ronnie Samtani has more details.
Lawmakers are taking action as they question the Executive Council's decision to grant only 2 free-to-air TV licenses. Pan-Democrats plan to invoke the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance at a special broadcasting panel meeting on November 8th to demand that EXCO release the relevant documents. Lawmaker Charles Mok says at the panel there are about 9 votes in favor of invoking special LegCo powers. He hopes that other members will vote in support. But members for the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong have expressed reservations. Tam Yu Chung said they would meet with the government first before deciding whether any follow-up work is necessary. But it's not clear yet if LegCo powers and privileges would be able to override EXCO's confidentiality rules because of a lack of precedent. Civic Party member Ronnie Tong says EXCO could fight back.
For example, in EXCO, people may be inhibited from speaking their mind if they know that ultimately the deliberation will be revealed to the public. So I can see that if LegCo were to exercise its power under the Power and Privileges Ordinance to require disclosure of material of EXCO, the government may well seek to claim public interest privilege, in which case the matter would have to go to court.
Executive Council member Bernard Chan says the Council went through lengthy discussions to come to a final decision, and that a public discussion on the matter would not be possible. The decision to deny Ricky Wong and Hong Kong Television Network a license continued to spark controversy. Today, professionals in the movie industry cried foul.
We all gave our opinion that this is a setback to the creative industry because television production has always been at the cradle of the film industry, including a lot of superstars, they all come from TV.
Protests are scheduled for tomorrow in support of Wong and HKTV. Rani Santani, TVB News.
Maldives police have defended their move to stop presidential elections that were supposed to take place today. They insist that a vote would have been unlawful and could have sparked national instability. It's the latest blow to the country in the Indian Ocean, which has about 3 weeks before the end of the current president's term. If his replacement is not elected by then, it will spark a constitutional crisis. The country's top court annulled the results of the September 7th presidential election. It agreed with a losing candidate that the voters' registry included fictitious names and dead people. But it did set conditions for a revote, which police said election officials did not meet.
Well, the international community is still trying to make sense of Saudi Arabia's decision to reject a seat on the United Nations Security Council. Some say the unprecedented move was directed at the Saudis' ally, the United States, over their differences in regional hotspots such as Syria and Egypt.
Colleagues with long memories cannot recall such an instance, but they are checking back further into the depths of history to see, to be absolutely certain about that.
And we're back tonight with more local news. Secretary for Security Lai Tong Kwok has ruled out changes to the one-way permit scheme that allows mainlanders to settle in Hong Kong. Evelyn Leung has the story.
Tensions between Hong Kong residents and mainlanders have been increasing in recent months over issues such as kindergarten places and parallel goods trading. Some have called on the government to review the one-way permit scheme that allows mainlanders to settle in Hong Kong. Secretary for Security Lai Tong Kwok explained today that's not possible. He said under the Basic Law, mainland authorities, not Hong Kong officials, decide who is entitled to a one-way permit. He pointed out that currently, mainlanders have to wait about 4 years before they could join their families here in the SAR. If the daily quota of 150 is lifted, that could lead to an influx of mainlanders over a short period of time. Lai's comments came amid calls for the Hong Kong government to have a greater say in the one-way permit scheme. Lawmaker Gary Pham was among those who published the petition in newspapers last month, attributing the city's housing problem to the influx of mainlanders. Today, Pham again denied his views discriminate against those from across the border. Hong Kong has to develop at a pace that is feasible, so problems such as a shortage of resources won't happen, he said. Pham pointed out if the policy to allow 150 mainlanders to settle in Hong Kong each day continues, new towns that are developed by the government will be occupied completely by new migrants within 10 years. And while his earlier comments have been criticized by fellow Pan Democrats, Fan did say today he would be more careful with his remarks in future. Evelyn Lang, TVB News.
Police are investigating a murder case in Sheung Kwan O yesterday. An elderly man was killed after he got into an argument with another man. Police have arrested a suspect. Rachel Lung reports.
Police today returned to the crime scene in Sheung Kwan O to conduct their investigation. Officers say the case happened at around 5 yesterday afternoon. An argument broke out between two people who lived in the neighborhood. A 73-year-old man was attacked and suffered head injuries. He was rushed to the hospital where he died this morning. Police arrested a 63-year-old man in connection with the case. Officers said today the two men got into an argument. Police don't believe the case had to do with money. It appeared to be a verbal dispute that got out of hand. The police are still investigating if the two men actually knew each other. They appealed to nearby residents to provide information about the case. Rachel Lang, TVB News.
Turning overseas again, U.S. President Barack Obama has nominated the Pentagon's former top lawyer to head the Homeland Security Department. If confirmed, Jay Johnson would replace Janet Napolitano, who quit last month. Analysts say Johnson's selection suggests a policy shift from an emphasis on immigration to the fight against terrorism.
I love this country. I care about the safety of our people. I believe in public service, and I remain loyal to you, Mr. President. If confirmed by the Senate, I promise all of my energy, focus, and ability toward the task of safeguarding our nation's national and homeland security.
Jay has a deep understanding of the threats and challenges facing the United States. As the Pentagon's top lawyer, he helped design and implement many of the policies that have kept our country safe. He's been there in the Situation Room, at the table, in moments of decision, working with leaders from a host of agencies to make sure everyone is rowing in the same direction. And he's respected across our government as a team player.
In Australia, wildfires continue to rage out of control in New South Wales, where 83 fires are now burning across the state. In the worst-hit region of the Blue Mountains, 193 homes have been destroyed and 100 more were damaged by fires earlier this week. As December marks the summer season in Australia, this year's dry winter and hotter-than-average spring have led to perfect fire conditions. The fires are so intense, a total of 1,500 firefighters are trying to contain the blazes. Police are investigating allegations the fire was started by two young girls trying to light a fire in a woodland. According to a new survey, about 30 million people live in slavery across the globe. They include men, women, and children who are being trafficked for sex and unskilled labor. The survey was conducted by the Walk Free Foundation, an Australian-based rights group. It says 30 million people live in slavery and 10 countries account for more than 3/4 of that amount. They are India, China, Pakistan, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Russia, and Thailand, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. Modern-day slavery is defined as human trafficking, forced labor, debt bondage, forced marriage, and the sale or exploitation of children. Australian mining magnate and philanthropist Andrew Forrest helped to fund the survey because understanding how many people are enslaved is key.
The idea of the Slavery Index is to now properly measure it, top-down, academically, government by government around the world. It's long overdue. We have to do it so we can fight it. If you can measure it, you can form a strategy to defeat it.
But by far, the highest statistics of those enslaved were found in India and China. 14 million in India and 3 million in China. The statistics had activists in India voicing strong concern over their country's need for a human rights policy.
Our country at this moment does not have a human rights policy. I think it would help us if we did.
We should question to ourselves that do we need any international report to, judge and assess the Indian situation? Rather, we should have our own mechanism in which, people are more aware of the facts.
More than 4,000 people are also enslaved in Britain, where victims hail from Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe. By far, the most shocking revelation is that slavery is at its worst in world history.
There's never been the number of slaves, probably even collectively, as there are in the world today.
And finally, while some restaurants try hard not to let business go down the toilet, there is one in California that's proud to do just that. This is the Magic Restroom Cafe, a Taiwanese restaurant located just outside of Los Angeles. It's brought the toilet into the dining room with its bathroom decor, dishes, and food. This toilet-themed restaurant has just one goal: to flush out good food. And from the looks of those waiting in line to sit on one of their toilet seats, they're doing great. Diners can feast on specialty foods like pork over rice and spicy shredded chicken. And the toilet teasing doesn't stop with just the seating. The food is served in miniature ceramic toilet bowls and urinals, giving a whole new meaning to crappy food. Sorry, Tony, I just had to go there.
So what are their toilets, their actual toilets like? Are they like, is it reversed where they look like proper seats instead
they
of
look
toilet
like
seats?
Proper seats,
and the toilet seat on the outside?
Not quite appetizing.
Yeah, right.
We had to end that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, though.
Good night.